Africa. UN. War in Ukraine will hurt Africa's grain supplies. This article is taken from the East African. United Nations Security General Antonio Guterres has expressed concern that African countries, could be hit with a shortage of wheat supply as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Following the February 24th invasion, the two biggest wheat growers in the world, Ukraine and Russia, may now be unable to supply the crucial markets in Africa, the UN boss said on Tuesday. Many African countries and poor countries are dependent on wheat production in Russia and Ukraine, but now they are at risk because of the war, he added. Guterres told reporters that 45 African countries and least developed countries import at least 1/3 of their wheat from Ukraine and Russia, and 18 of them import at least 50%. These countries, according to the UN, include Egypt, Congo, Burkina Faso, Libya, Somalia, Lebanon, Yemen, and Sudan, which had already been struggling to feed their people. Russia and Ukraine represent more than half of the world's supply of sunflower oil and about 30% of the world's wheat. Russia is the world's largest wheat exporter with about 17% share of the global export market. It is also the second biggest supplier of sunflower seed. The Black Sea region reportedly exports at least 12% of global food calories, including sunflower oil, maize, wheat, and other crops. About 40% of these exports go to the Middle East and Africa, where food prices are already surging. Guterres further warned that Russia's war on Ukraine could lead to a global famine and food insecurity. The UN chief said Russia's war on Ukraine is holding a sword of Damocles over the global economy, especially on the poor developing countries that already are facing price hikes on food, fuel, and fertilizer, and are now seeing their bread basket being bombed. Food, fuel, and fertilizer prices are skyrocketing. Supply chains are being disrupted, and the costs and delays of transportation of imported goods, when available, are at record levels. And all of this is hitting the poorest the hardest and planting the seeds for political instability and unrest around the globe, Guterres added. Last year, the United Nations warned that millions of people were at risk of starvation as a result of the worsening drought in Somalia. According to UN, nearly 13 million people in Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia are at risk of food and water shortages. Meanwhile, drought-stricken Somalia is seeking international assistance to feed its 6.9 million people who are facing severe food and water shortages. Somalia's Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble has said more than 500,000 people have been forced to flee their homes in search of food and water. He warned that many people in Somalia could starve unless emergency aid is supplied immediately. In Sudan, thousands of people are protesting a rapid deterioration in living conditions, including a sharp rise in the price of bread. On Sunday, the cost of bread, the main food staple for most Sudanese, rose by more than 40%.